Otters fans, Trevor Cabay here, and welcome on in to another edition of Off the Record here on the Gem City Sports Podcast Network, presented by Rebish Investments. This week, we sit down with Otters forward Ritter Coombs and talk about his play style, how he got to Erie, and what he likes to do away from the rink. Come on, join us. We're going to have some fun. We are here with Otters forward Ritter Coombs, one of the newest Otters here, joining us here for the 25-26 season. Ritt, thanks so much for taking some time to join us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's jump right into it. For you, of course, growing up around a hockey family, your dad played the league, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. What got you into the sport? What started you in the game of hockey?
Yeah, my dad obviously was kind of the one that got me into it. I think my first couple of years I didn't put skates on. They would kind of throw me out there in my Crocs, and then I would put them on, and my dad would shut me out in the middle of the rink. So kind of pushed it on me at a young age, and then once it started to get serious, he laid back, and he doesn't say anything anymore. But yeah, I kind of figured it out myself. So pretty simple. I didn't love it at the start when I was little, but they figured it out, and here we are.
Here we are. You mentioned figure it out. When did you kind of figure out that, hey, I'm not too bad at this thing. Let's try and pursue it a little more?
Probably my sophomore year in high school. I played just normal high school down in Jamestown, which isn't all that serious. You just play with your buddies and have fun. And
yeah.
I got recruited to play prep school up in Lake Placid at the Northwood School, and kind of figured it out there. I had two unbelievable coaches that gave me an opportunity to play with really good players, and went from there. So started talking to a couple colleges on January 1st of my sophomore year, and realized that I could probably take this somewhere if I wanted to, and this summer found Erie, so super excited to be here.
Talk to me about Jamestown and growing up there, obviously not too far down the road. Back in my playing days, I played at that rink a ton, a great rink. Always enjoyed playing there. What was that experience like in growing up in, small town New York, but still like plenty to do around that area?
Yeah, so all my best friends live there, which in small towns, that's kind of what you do. You just hang out with your buddies, even if it's just sitting on the couch all night. You get pretty used to doing stuff like that. So I loved it. It was a great time. I went to really small schools, which I really loved. I got to, everybody knows everybody, which is the greatest part about it. You never go somewhere without seeing somebody that you know. And then sports were great. You just, have fun.
Yeah.
Nothing's super serious. Obviously you hate losing and stuff still, but it was more, it was loose. You get, mess around, and had a lot of fun doing it. Didn't even at the time didn't really know. Like, I loved hockey, but you don't know that how much you love it until it gets serious. So I got to play with my buddies, and I played high school in 8th and 9th grade, and got to play in front of, little student sections and stuff like that. So all the schools kind of came together. Our high school team was all the Jamestown schools kind of jammed into one. And, I didn't go to school with any of my best friend, one of them. And then I was buddies with all the older kids because I played with the older guys growing up. So it was great. I love it, and I couldn't be happier to be closer. I get to see all my friends, and obviously my parents and stuff. I had a couple buddies at the game this past weekend, which was awesome. So
that's always so cool, man. Like, telling those stories brings me back a little bit to my playing days. Like, it was so much, like, high school hockey was a lot of fun, right? Like,
it
just
was the most fun I've ever had.
It's like you mentioned, it's kind of a looser vibe. It's a little bit different. Like, it's pretty serious, but it's not like make or break, right? Like, you go out and, have a tough game. Like, nobody's really going to care. You're back at school the next day, right?
It doesn't dwell on you or affect you.
Which is it's a really healthy way, I feel like, to enjoy the game and enjoy playing the game.
Absolutely.
And
it was fun. Those were three of the best years of my life. I really enjoyed playing, and a lot of these kids that I I've been playing with the last couple of years don't understand that, like how fun it actually was. Like, everybody played AAA when they were, 11, 12 years old, where I was, playing. I never really traveled for hockey or anything. I kind of stayed in one spot, and, you don't even really stretch before games or do anything like that. You kind of just show up to the rink and go and play, which was awesome. It was the time of my life for sure.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Lake Placid, and that kind of moves on to the next phase of your career. What was that like? I know you'd mentioned in media before playing in the rink where Miracle on Ice happened. Like, what was that environment like? What was kind of the change between that and Jamestown?
Yeah, culture shock was definitely an all-time high. I'm not super big school person, and I had to go move up there without my parents. I lived with roommates, and we. You figure it out. I struggled in school at the start. I struggled in hockey at the start, and there's really nobody there to help you. You kind of gotta figure it out yourself, which I guess I keep coming back to. But it was really fun. You live with your best buddies. Two of my best friends I still talk to pretty much all day, every day. I went to school with there. We had so much. You travel, especially Lake Placid. We were. I think my first year we might have played like 10 home games of 70.
Wow.
So we were
You're all around.
All over. We were in Minnesota and Toronto and Boston and New Hampshire just every single weekend. You really don't do school. My first year I didn't have school on Fridays.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm not sure how that was all figured out or whatnot, and then we'd leave for Minnesota on a Wednesday.
All on a bus, right?
Yeah. We didn't. You spent a lot of time on the bus, which sucked at a young age. But, it was fun, and you play games with your buddies, and that was when Among Us was a big thing.
Okay.
So we played a lot of Among Us, and we pretty much lived out of a hotel for a year, and then we had the FISU games at our school in December, which is like the Division III Olympics, I guess, in a way. So we didn't. I had two months off of school, and we're still playing hockey, so we lived out of hotels, and then somebody got COVID. Some country got COVID, and we went back, and we were at school for like a month without any school.
So this was 2020 then?
2021.
Or 21, so like right after.
Still kind of COVID, a little bit COVID-y. I got really, really close to all those kids. I still talk to kids from my first year every day. Billy Batten's a big name. He plays at Army now.
Okay.
And we had, those were really, really fun years. I look back on it now, and I'm not sure any hockey will ever be the same. You're so close to those kids with, you eat all 3 meals together.
Yeah.
You do all that stuff together, and you don't see anybody else the whole year. You go home for Christmas, that's all you get.
And especially when you're on the road that much, too. Again, all those hours on the bus, you guys are just together, and all those hours in the hotel, right? Like that's, and I imagine winning got done with that group with that much.
That year, I want to say we were 6th or 7th in the country. So you have to learn how to like everybody. There's no hatred on teams like that, because you have to learn how to deal with it. I'm sure I was one of the kids that they had to learn how to deal with, but it was really fun. I left after my junior year. Going back now, I probably would have stayed. I would like to say I would be in a different position right now if I went back. I have a couple teammates from Northwood that are in the league now that all went back, and it was really fun. I had the relationships you build, and I still even talk to some teachers that I had that you'd never think you'd have a relationship with once you leave. But we went back for graduation last year and had a really good time. That's kind of when it started to hit me, like maybe I should have returned back here, watching all my buddies walk at graduation. But it was an unbelievable 2 years. It was great. And
I can imagine too, like in terms of prepping you for college and what life at college is going to be like, that's like the perfect scenario, right?
It is almost, I guess, in a way identical. I have buddies that are at school now that I talk to, and you live in a dorm room. Yeah,
it's kind of the same setup, right?
You got a dining hall, and you kind of just walk to all your classes and see people that you know on the way to class, and then even have class with your teammates and stuff, which coming from Jamestown, I went to Jamestown High School, so I
Yeah.
didn't have all my buddies went to Southwestern and Maple Grove down there. So I didn't have class with any of my teammates. And then going to Northwood, I think we took a financial class one time, and we had like 16 of our 16 players from our team in the class. It was, I'm not sure our teacher was.
I was
super
gonna
fond
say,
of
that's
it,
probably a
but
nightmare
it was,
for the teacher.
Yeah, it was really fun, really fun. That was probably my favorite class looking back on it now. And I was a sophomore, and everybody was a senior, so I kind of got to continue my antics while everybody was trying to focus in.
Were you the guy in class that would always cause a disturbance?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, throwing pencils at people and trying to see other people's papers and stuff. I was. Yeah, I was a mess in school.
You got to do what you got to do to get by, though.
Yeah. I got for some reason I got by, but it was definitely a lot of phone calls with my mom and a lot of meetings with our coach and some teachers in my school. But there's a lot of good people there that I don't think were willing to hurt me. So they maybe some grades that shouldn't have been good grades that they bumped it up a little bit helps me out. So it was that place is awesome. I will love that place forever. Maybe at some point go back there and coach or something.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be a really cool way to kind of tie it all together,
Yeah.
right? Like go back
Yeah.
there and.
I know I had 3 coaches while I was there. My first year, Mark Morris, who was the most perfect coach for me. He retired after my first year. My assistant coach took over. And then the second year was Sean Lynch was our assistant. Stephen Malaro became the head coach. Stephen was the one that recruited me. He was great. He's the reason why I'm at where I am today. They all of them graduated from Northwood at some point.
Oh wow,
So
okay.
it's full circle. Usually you don't tend to teach or go back and coach there if you didn't graduate from there.
So you go from there and you end up playing junior hockey here in the U.S. Talk to me about that experience and kind of growing as a player, and even talk to me a little bit of how maybe your playing style has evolved through all these different levels and variations of hockey.
Yeah, I always struggled as a kid with bad penalties. I always wanted to punch people and slash people and whatnot. And then I got to Northwood and struggled with it there. Sat on the end of the bench a couple times for some stupid things or multiple penalties in a game, stuff like that. I know if you look at my numbers, it's pretty bad, but a lot of 10-minute misconducts in there, just saying things I probably shouldn't be saying. And then at the end of my sophomore year at Northwood, I got drafted to the Dubuque Fighting Saints in the USHL. I was born in Dubuque. My dad was the assistant coach of the Dubuque Fighting Saints, the team that I ended up playing for many years. I was the head coach of the Dubuque Thunderbirds, who are no longer a team. And then that's where I ended up going after my junior year. So I stayed at Northwood for an extra year. I love Dubuque. I love the people there. That place is awesome and will obviously forever be something to me with being born there. And the first 9 years of my life were spent there. And I had a lot of fun, a lot of really good friends that I made there. And then at the trade deadline, I got traded to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where I played for Ryan Crothers, who's also a great human being and did me a solid. I got to go there and play and kind of, again, I guess, do my thing with fighting and continued the stupid penalties. But I had a lot of fun there too. I had 2 great billet houses. I lived with the Fullers in Dubuque, who I've known my whole life. And then I lived with the Beitenbos in Sioux Falls, who were awesome people. I had 2 roommates there who are 2 of my dearest friends now. We had a ball together. One of them I'm actually going to play at Providence with, JJ Montero. So that was really fun. And then the year ended, and I've been gone and far away for a really long time. And then next year or the year following, I'll be 10 hours away again. So it was my chance to play, not pretty much at home. And I wanted to take that. Just my sisters and my buddies, and my buddies are always asking, how do I watch you play? I'm like, I don't think you want to pay $50 to watch. So now they get to come and see in person. And my dad, is a hockey coach, so he never really got to get away. And he's now the assistant coach of Mercyhurst. Yeah. So he's he's up around here. They haven't missed a home game yet. I'm sure at some point my dad will not want to come watch anymore. But we love it. I had the option to come here, and there was no second guessing. This was the decision the whole time, and we got to 35 minutes. Like, we got to go home for 2 days this past weekend.
Yeah.
It was nothing for me. It was almost like driving to the rink. So
Yeah.
it was perfect. I'm really enjoying it, and everybody gets to come and watch me play, which is honestly a dream. I've kind of had the best of both worlds. I got to play in my real hometown in Dubuque last year, and then this happened. So now I'm in my second hometown, I guess you could say, with Jamestown, which it is Erie, but it's super
so
close.
close.
It's easy,
Yeah, it's an easy trip
Yeah.
too. I remember back in the day there was the rink that's up off of Peach Street wasn't there yet, and to practice there was no ice in Erie, so we'd have to go to Jamestown all the
Yeah.
time or Meadville to practice
Yeah.
because there was no ice. And that trip became like second. It was once a week that we were doing.
Yeah, and
this.
it's
So,
it is a great rink. My
Yeah.
dad coached the Jamestown Rebels in
Okay.
the North American Hockey League
Yeah.
there for 5 years, I think, 6 years maybe. And it is perfect for
that level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's there's I think 2,500 seats, great ice. It's really well taken care of.
The building is always packed.
Yeah.
Like
There's
always.
always
There's
comedians,
something
like,
happening
anything.
there.
Yeah, there's always something going on. Even without a junior hockey team now, there's still a ton of events that are held there.
Yeah.
I know they take the ice out like 4 or 5 times a year just for comedians or whatnot. And then there's the second rink over there, which
Yeah.
I also really love to play in. It's a great little rink.
Yeah.
But it's perfect. I'm really shocked that there isn't another junior team back in there yet. But it's perfect. It was built to be a pro rink. I guess
It kind of has the feel of a pro rink.
I'm not sure what level, ECHL or SPHL, and there's a beautiful locker room and gym right down behind the home net there, that you kind of walk over it when you walk in the rink, and it's beautiful. It's just kind of sitting there empty right now, which I know they have the JCC team in it, Jamestown Community College, and they're doing really well. They're getting like 1,000 people to their games.
Wow.
And it's not great hockey, but it's, for the high school kids, it's 2 more years of hockey that they just get to play and
100%.
kind of keep the same, it's not super serious, it's fun, and I think they might use the facilities a little bit, but it's an awesome rink, and I grew up playing in it and skating on it before, my dad's practices or practicing with my dad's team, and I love it. I think it's awesome. I skate there in the summer still too. So.
Yeah. Talk to me about your dad playing in this league, and for you coming to this league. Did that kind of have any, bit of a factor to it?
Yeah, I wanted to play in the OHL my whole life. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. My dad obviously, talked about it all the time. It was, the OHL, or major junior, I guess you could say CHL, has always argued that, more guys play in the NHL from the CHL than NCAA. It'll forever be an argument.
Even with the rule, I feel like.
And even with the numbers, numbers don't lie. I think right now NCAA is above it. But if you were to bring that up to my dad, it would still be an argument. But I that's what I wanted to do. And then I went to Northwood. School started calling, and it just kind of got out of the picture. It was, I was an American kid that, didn't play in a super, CHL. Like Chicago has a couple kids up here, and Michigan has a bunch of kids, but I didn't play in any of those areas. So it was school. Like, that was pretty much the only option. And then my CHL draft year, I didn't play good hockey, so the draft wasn't even a possibility. And I probably until I was about 15, I was, my mom would be like, "You're going to school." I'd be like, "No, I'm playing the OHL." Like, that's just
Okay, so this is always that's cool.
How it was, and then I committed to school, and this was kind of ruled out and never talked about again. And then the rule changed, and even last year, I still was kind of like, I'll stay where I am. I'm not, super interested. I don't like, jumping around or anything. And then the end of the season hit, and it was just kind of right at the doorstep. I'd like to say it was between Erie and going back to Sioux Falls.
Okay.
I didn't, if I was going to be any more than, 4 or 5 hours away from home, I just would have stayed there. But Erie had called, and this was, I guess, I think I've said it, but I guess what you dream of, you're right in your backyard, and that was perfect for me and my family. And I didn't get pushed anyway. It was all left up to me, and this was what I decided on. So.
Talk to me about getting that call from Dave Brown and when this opportunity arose.
Yeah, I talked to a couple other teams, but it wasn't, I wasn't super excited about any of them. And then I think my agent called me the first time. My agent called me and said, "Hey, would you have any interest in Erie?" And I think I just said yes, and that was kind of it for the conversation. And then my agent texted me a couple days later and said, "Would you like to go up and see it?" Well,
right down the road.
It wasn't really a yes or no question. It was kind of just like, well, I'm, weighing out options, and it's, 35 minutes away, so I might as well go see it. And I think me and my dad sat up in the conference room for 4 hours and talked to Dave Brown and Scott Grieve there. And then probably about 5 days later, I had started to get rushed by a couple other places, make this decision. Sioux Falls, I had to go to main camp in the middle of summer, and I woke up one morning and I work in the summer, and I went to work, and in the middle of work I was cutting fries, I think, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to Erie. Called my dad, said I was going to Erie, and he said, all right, make the phone call. So I think I called Coach Millette first and said that I was all in. Called Dave, didn't answer. Hard guy to get a hold of.
Busy guy.
Phone's
always ringing.
Yeah,
man.
always. And then he had called me back a couple hours later, and my mind hadn't changed yet. So I stuck with it. And then he set it up for me to come up and sign. I know I got, again, really lucky with that. You see everybody else kind of signing in their kitchen from far away and whatnot. I got to sign my paper in the conference room and see everything. I got my equipment and stuff for the summer. So.
Have Tim Quinn following you around.
Yeah, Tim followed me around. He was being weird. If Tim's seeing this,
he will be editing this, so he will indeed be seeing this.
Yeah, he'll probably cut that out. But it was awesome. And then I got to skate with Coach Hartsburg all summer and work out up here at Erie Bank Sports Park. So it was great. I got to I saw Mally quite a bit and skated with his daughter a couple times, which was cool. And then now Hartsy's back on our staff, so it kind of all worked out. He's awesome, and his skates were great. So,
what has it been like so far? What have you liked about the OHL, the style of game, how your style is kind of adapted from, the USHL, which is, from all accounts, a little more rough and tumble, to the OHL, which is more kind of high scoring?
Yeah, so I think the leagues are very similar. I've played in both, so my argument's a little different. I think if you ask a normal Canadian kid who's played their 4 or 5 years in the OHL, they would say the USHL sucks. I think that league is...
It's good hockey. I would argue that as well.
That was what the NCAA was, and NCAA is where everybody wants to go now. So you see, the leaders in the NCAA are all coming from the USHL, and I'm sure that will change. But I loved the USHL. I thought it was great. But the OHL is different. I think in the USHL, there's a lot more checking and defending, and a little. I don't want to say older school, but you're coached to defend. The games aren't as high scoring. It's more physical. Like you don't make as many plays. You get the puck, you dump it in, you go in, you forecheck, comes right back out, you back check. Where this league, I guess you could maybe argue that the kids are more skilled, which from my first 9 or 10 games, I would agree with that. I think there's more skill in this league, but you're not, in certain places, you're not coached as much to defend in the OHL. So the game's different. I'm still adjusting. It's taken me a lot longer than I think I would like. I'm still kind of in the middle of it right now, but it's different. I guess there's more offense to it. You play with better players that want to make plays, want to hold on to the puck. In the USHL, you don't really hold on to the puck because you're going to get your head taken off.
Yeah.
The fighting in this league there's more fighting in this league because it's in the USHL it's 15 minutes for fighting. So you get a 5-minute major and then a 10-minute misconduct.
So that's where the 270 plus penalty minutes, I believe it was, comes
from. Yeah, there was a lot of fighting, and you sit there for 15 minutes, which sucked.
Yeah, that's never fun.
It was a lot harder to find people that would fight. You almost always had to get an instigator penalty. So now you're sitting in the box for 17 minutes, where in this league it's 5 minutes. So you can, somebody's always going to want to do it. So I guess it fits my game. I wouldn't say I love to fight, but I did it last year, trying to find some type of role in Dubuque, and found out I was semi-decent at it and it didn't hurt. And then you kind of build the reputation, and then the OHL posted that I had all those penalty minutes, and now I'm dealing with people asking me to fight here again. So it's kind of, I guess at this point, stuck with me until I go to school where you can't fight. So I'll be more than happy to, finally, I guess, play a little bit more hockey.
Okay.
At that point. I know I seem like I'd like it, but I think there's a place for it. I think there's, a right and a wrong time. Defending teammates, I think, is always okay. And in this league, I feel like the hits are. I don't want to use the word disrespectful, but there's a little disrespect to the hitting and stuff. Where, I had one last game and I thought somebody was going to come after me. I accidentally, I guess you could say, hit somebody from behind. But that's how this is. I think you're raised different in Canada. Where also in the USHL, your buddy gets hit. You don't want to sit out for 15 minutes. I was always okay with it because I thought it was the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. Where in this league, it's 5 minutes. So your buddy gets hit pretty hard. You just go ask the guy to fight, and all you got to do is sit there for 5 minutes. So that's different. That plays into my game a little bit. I already only have one left, and we've played 9 games.
Yeah.
We got 60 games left, and I can only fight one more time. So that's a little bit of a bummer right now. I guess we'll have to see about the suspensions when we get to that point. But
when we get to that point.
Yeah, it'll probably be soon. But like I said, I think it's, I need to definitely start scoring and making more plays, which I think will come with time, still adjusting. And the leagues are very different. Mm-hmm. Like, I think they're similar in a way, but they're, the speed's different. I think this league's a lot faster. The USHL is slowed down. There's a lot more of slowing people down. I guess you could say clutching and grabbing. The rules are different.
Yeah.
Where I think it's a little bit more of a free for all in the USHL, so guys get away with more. A lot of hooking and stuff like that. So it's different. I'm still trying to catch up, but I really had loved both leagues.
I feel like the OHL is like, if the way it's officiated is definitely more like pro style, more NHL style.
Yeah. And like, to me, like, me and my dad sat there the other day in Jamestown and watched the Ottawa versus Brantford game, and I'm pretty sure the final score was like 8-6 or something. And
that's an OHL game.
There was like 12 power play goals. Mm-hmm. Like, where last year, I don't know if I ever played in a game where there was 12 penalties called. But that's, kind of how it's the way the game's going, I guess you could say. A lot of different stuff, too. Refs pay attention to if you don't have your mouth guard in or you don't have a neck guard on. Like, last year, I'd forget my neck guard at home for an away game, and nobody would ever say anything to me.
Really?
Yeah. Like, it was very dimmed down.
Yeah.
Where the OHL's on top of their stuff, which I guess, in a way, could be good.
Yeah, I feel like, especially for a neck guard, and given
some of
the recent events, like, probably the right thing to do. But yeah, it's always interesting to me hearing kind of the different perspectives. And of course, we talked a little bit about fighting. Walk me through, what's going through your head to kind of take me behind the scenes of a scrap.
I guess one thing, the preseason was a way to, I grew up in a hockey family. I grew up with, my dad's old school, and I listen to his buddies and hear their stories and hear his stories. And I think the one in Peterborough was more just to kind of get the respect of, your teammates, coaching staff, fans around the league, fans in Erie, or, just the respect of other teams too. I kind of ran around that first game in Peterborough, had a couple bad hits, and started a couple things. And I thought it was the right thing to do, just to, show that I can answer the bell. I will. I'll do it for, my teammates and stuff. The one in preseason in London, I thought that one was a joke. If this is going onto YouTube or something, I hope that kid's watching, because it's coming back around for him. He jumped me with a face mask on, which to me is disrespectful. Now I'm forced to, punch a face mask, which I had, a broken broken hand and went through all that last year. So that sucked. I wasn't, going to not drop my gloves. But at the same time, when I thought about maybe taking his helmet off, I was getting punched in the face, so I didn't really have time to, get his helmet off. So I just started punching a cage. And then, what was the first one?
You had the one in the home opener.
Yeah, home opener.
That had to be cool. I mean, we're getting the crowd on your side.
You kind of think about it, when you're, fight, I guess you could say, or I don't like to call myself a fighter. I think
I would agree with you on that. Like watching your game over the last 9 games or so, like it's not just about fighting for you. There's some skill there.
Yeah, like I like to play. I want to play. I want to play as much as, I'm put on the ice. I don't like the USHL last year, I guess you could say I maybe was, even though I think I had maybe 25 or 30 points, but the USHL, you sit out. So if you're willing to do it, then you kind of get that, I guess, brand of being a fighter, which I don't like at all. I like to play. I think if you even maybe look at some of my numbers, like there's more to me than just, punching guys in the face. Sometimes I can get caught up and, make myself look like an idiot, but the one in the home opener, I thought, Challenger had the big hit down below the goal line. The kid had kind of taken off to go after Challenger, and I'm not going to let Tyler Challenger fight. That's one thing. We have Royston and, all these guys that, will handle stuff for some of those kids. Like I've said it to McLean Egret a bunch, who, is a smaller guy that you can see in some situations might get scared. And I said, you don't need to be scared. Like if something happens, there's guys on our bench that can take care of it. Like you're probably not even going to get hit when you think you are. And 2, if it's a bad enough hit, somebody will step up for you.
Yeah. He's a slippery player too. I mean, he's tough to catch.
Yeah. And I wasn't going to let the kid go after Challenger, who at the time I didn't think was going to fight. Should I have maybe let him and taken the power play at that point? I think it was a 2-1 game Kitchener, maybe. And the kid fell over and turned around and asked me, and I was, you think about it going into the home opener, like, yeah, tonight might be a good night to do it. Kind of show the people what you're about. And then it wasn't great. I think I caught him with one. He fell over and then tried to take me down, and the ref jumped in. And then the one in Peterborough was a big one. Big, huge kid. I think like 6'5", 220, around that. And I don't know what I did to him, but he wanted to fight pretty early on, and I wasn't going to say no. So he had me in the first half, I think, but I caught him with one that toppled him over. So that was another good one. But I think your mindset going into it, I don't think there's a right way to go about it. I think, the one in Peterborough, I can definitely say I was scared. I was squared up with him, sizing him up, and that's, when I realized how big he was, you get, the nerves start going. I think you can see it in my hands a little bit too. The one, you can tell, once you do it so often that you're going to win or lose.
Yeah.
The one in the home opener I wasn't really all too worried about. But
crowd's going to pop regardless.
Yeah, like either way, they're going to be into it, and your teammates are going to respect it. So you don't really care about winning or losing. I've been nervous this year again with the hand injury that I had last year from a fight that, I don't want that to happen again. I don't want to sit out or miss any time for something. So I guess going into it, you just kind of hope it goes your way. You don't want to get hurt. At the same time, you don't feel punches. So sometimes after a fight, I'll be sitting there like, oh, I didn't get touched. And then you wake up the next morning and you can kind of feel it. Yeah. Lumps on the head and stuff. But there's no right or wrong way about it. I think, one, you have to be a little scared, because if you're not, you're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And 2, you got to be a little tactical. I mean, there's, some of the big guys you fight, you don't want to let them use their reach against you, because then you can't hit them, but they can hit you. There's stuff that goes into it that I guess we can talk about now, but once you get into it, you don't really think about it. Just kind of
You're
happens.
Just in there. You're just throwing bombs.
It just happens. And there's, I've fought kids that, turn their heads, so you can't hit them. And if you do hit them, it's, the back of their head, which is, I've never understood, because I think that hurts more than just getting hit in the face.
Probably.
Also a little bit more dangerous, but there's been kids that I've gone into that's like, this kid's not going to hit me. And then there's other ones that you go into where it's like, I could have a long couple weeks if this goes the way that it could. So there's no right or wrong way to look into it. I think everybody's different. I've talked to Royston about it a bunch. Pretty much every conversation we have is about that. So we have different mindsets. He just kind of wants to go in there and throw. I'm a little bit more tactical. I like to grab onto certain spots so they can't hit me, and if they do, it's not as hard. There's many things that go into it, but again, once you get into it and you get hit once, the whole plan is kind of out the window. So.
And then you're just going.
Yeah,
I had talked to Alex Messier, who was on the team a year ago on the show, actually. And he'd mentioned to me, look, I take boxing lessons. Like, I'm super tactical when I'm in it. And I'm like, wow, like that. I never realized that, guys were, that cerebral about it. I always thought it was more of just kind of like you mentioned, just when it happens, you just go.
Yeah, I've never done anything for it. I've never, done. Yeah, some people do martial arts where they, have these specific spots to grab and they go into all this. I've never thought about it. I have watched some older guys fight. Like, I don't know if anybody knows Bob Probert or Darren McCarty or Joey Kosher, Wendell Clark.
Yeah.
I've watched those guys try and teach myself some stuff, but I've never taken any lessons or done anything. Like at the end of practice, sometimes you might, drop your stuff and mess around with a couple guys on your team that are willing to fight and learn stuff from them. But I've never, learned how to punch anybody or, I've never taken any lessons. I just kind of started doing it. And, for me also, I'm 170 pounds. So the guys I'm fighting are usually heavier, taller. And you just got to kind of hope and pray going into them and hope one goes your way. I guess the best saying is all it takes is one punch. I've never only had one. It's never only taken one punch for me. So I've gotten kind of unlucky on that part. I usually have to take a couple to give a couple, but I think if you ask anybody, my head's pretty hard. So I've always been pretty fine afterwards. No blood. I've never been cut in a fight or anything. So,
hey, that's a good thing to have. A good stat to have. Knock on wood. Was your dad? What kind of style of game did he play? Was it kind of similar to your style? Or?
No, not at all. My dad was. If you look him up, my dad was actually a really, really good player.
The numbers are really good.
Yeah, he was a really good player. I've talked to guys that have played in the NHL and stuff too that, are his best buddies, and everybody likes to say my dad was the best out of all of them. But my dad was unfortunately 5'8", so he back
especially in those days.
In those days, you couldn't be that small, and I guess the sad truth is playing the NHL. So he got the short end of the stick on the height, and he was as skilled as I think they come. I think one year he had 42 goals in the OHL and 95 points, which back then that was pretty impressive back in the day. Yeah. So that was his draft year too, and he didn't even get drafted with his. And he was a really good player though. Like he could make plays, little slippery, I guess, in a way to compare it. Maybe Dylan Edwards.
Okay.
Small, could shoot it. Played really hard. If your head was down, he would hit you, and make the
you'd
the
feel
price,
it.
You'd feel it, and then he would fight. Back in those days, you kind of had to. So he would fight 3 or 4 times a year, but not there was guys on his pretty cool. And then he played in Belleville, which is unfortunately not an OHL team
Great
anymore.
uniforms.
Yeah, awesome.
Unbelievable uniforms.
I have them in my closet. So
yeah.
I think I have a Kitchener one too, which we might have to get rid of that.
Let's say if you're willing to part with a Belleville Bulls jersey, I would.
They're cool.
I would
really
pay
cool.
up.
I think there's 3 or 4 of them in there.
I would certainly pay up for one. I'm a big jersey collector.
Yeah,
so.
He was an assistant captain and stuff.
Okay.
So he's got his letter on there.
They would always play the Otters on Thanksgiving when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So it was always the teddy bear toss when Erie played Belleville, and I was a little bit too young for PK Subban, but Malcolm Subban was there when I was growing up and in goal, and he was just terrific in the OHL.
Yeah, that was
like I don't know. I have so many fond memories growing up of the Belleville Bulls.
Yeah, he loved both places. I think there's a little bit in him that wishes it might have worked out a little bit longer in Kitchener. But he loved both places. My sister makes this clothing, and she's got these shirts that say, Kitchener Rangers alumni and OHL alumni and Belleville Bulls. He wears them all the time. Likes to tell everybody that he played in those 2 spots. So he, like I said, he was a great player. He loved both places. I think Kitchener, it's cool to say you played in Kitchener.
Yes.
So he likes to talk about Kitchener. Belleville's obviously not a super hot topic anymore with them
Yeah.
not being a team, but that was pretty cool. And then he played his 14 and 15-year-old year in Stratford.
Okay.
At the time,
So
the
that had to
Stratford,
have been.
I think they were the Coletons back then.
Okay.
So he came up to the preseason game in Stratford. Got to see his old billets, which were really cool. I got to
That's
meet
cool.
them. And I don't think he'd seen them in, 30 years. So that was pretty cool. That was, I think in a way that was a little bit more special to him than the Kitchener thing.
Yeah.
Just with, Stratford was really special to him, and I think he, in a way, that's kind of where he became a man. When you're that young. Back then there was no rules to it. You could kind of play junior when you were ready.
Yeah.
So he got to do that, and I got to play there. That was really cool. And then of course a week later I got to play in Kitchener, which kind of full circle moment. And then some of these other rinks too, that he got to play in. And I know London's a new rink, but he used to play in London all the time, and Kingston. And
Yeah.
so it's cool,
Ottawa.
kind of all these full circle moments, and he tells me all about it. I'll be on the bus and I'll call him before the game. He'll be like, "Oh, that place is great." Then he tells me 3 or 4 stories from those places, and "Oh, I had a hat trick there. I had a hat trick here. I had 3 shorthanded goals there one night." And it's pretty cool. It's special. You get to think about it even when I probably shouldn't be. In the middle of play, skating up the ice. I'm like, "Damn, my dad probably used to skate here." So
Yeah.
it's cool, really cool, and I think pretty special for everybody that's kind of involved.
I have to ask you about Kingston. You mentioned that the reaction on the Gavin Betts save, what should have been probably your first goal in the OHL, unbelievable stop.
Yeah.
But that just walk me through that moment and the reaction.
Well, I think if you ask Mally, I wasn't ready for the pass, so that played into it. I would like to say I got tripped and all this sorts of stuff, but I think at the end of the day, it was just a really nice save. I sat there for a minute, I'm struggling to score right now. So it was, that one hurt because I saw the open net. There was nobody around me, and then he dove across the net and made the save, and I couldn't accept my fate there in the corner. I know it went a little viral, so a little embarrassed about that, but it also sucked a little bit more when I found out that Betts was 16 years old. That sucked. Especially I'll be 19 here in a couple days, so that hurt a little bit. Just knowing that these young kids are taking over, kind of sucked. And then we kind of broke it down on the bus. I was getting made fun of and all that sort of stuff. You know how it goes. And we found out that it actually wouldn't have counted either way. Dylan Edwards decided to run the goalie over. Dylan pushed him directly into making the save. So I'm not going to take fault for this one. That's Dylan Edwards' fault.
Oh,
But my reaction was absolutely my fault.
the reaction was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like I saw it from where we are. I mean, direct look across from the broadcast booth, and you could see it full time. And then they were showing us the replay and the Kingston socials. And
My face was the cover of about 12 Instagram posts. So.
I did tell Tim, like, man, you got to clip this and make that. Like, we could use this big time.
No, I scrolled through Instagram after the game, and I think the first 12 posts that I saw were just my face, right on this.
You ever had a moment like that in your career?
I think there obviously a couple. Maybe not with that reaction. I've never, I guess, struggled to score like I am right now. So. That one was a little exaggerated, I think, just with the fact that I haven't been scoring and, the one that gets put right on your plate doesn't go in for you. I think that kind of explained exactly how my first 9 games have gone. So that it sucked. I've probably reacted like that a couple times, but definitely not with every single camera angle in the building directly on my face. So. I'm glad that he got save of the week, though. It made me feel better that they counted it as a save.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's definitely 100%. But hey, hopefully this show and doing the show will be the good luck charm.
Yeah, I might have to come back on it next week here.
Yeah, hey, if good weekend. We'll do it live on the road trip.
There you go. 8 days. We'll
next weekend. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Obviously you spent so much time on the road in your career. Have you ever had a trip like this?
I've never had this long of one, no. I think, at Northwood, you always went and came directly home. There was never, in midget hockey, it's tournaments. So you go up, you play
for a weekend.
4 or 5 different teams in 3 days, and then you just go home, and then the next weekend you keep doing it. And it's always the weekend. It's always, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it was never like that. And then even in the USHL last year, most of it was a home and home. So Friday night you might play in Cedar Rapids, and then Saturday night you play Cedar Rapids at home, just because everything's so close. And then, I guess we went to Youngstown, Ohio. There, it's pretty close to us.
Yeah.
From Dubuque, which I think we might have left on Wednesday. Gotten there Wednesday night. You practice, Thursday, and then you play Friday, Saturday, and then directly after the game you do the, 11-hour trek back or whatever it was. But I've never had 8 days or 8 days where you get a day in between games. So we're playing a lot of hockey.
Yeah.
You're not used to it. Some of the midget kids, maybe, Murray and Cooper, those guys this might be their advantage on some of the older guys, is they're, used to playing those, 4, 5, 6 game weekends where I haven't had one of those in a year. I know Dylan Edwards hasn't had one of those in 5 years.
Yeah.
So these things come up where, some guys are more prepared than others, but I've never 8 days, living in a hotel and a lot of sleeping on the uncomfortable bus.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll come back and Megan will have her hands full with treatment and taking care of guys' backs and hips and stuff. So it'll be interesting, but I think it'll be good for our group. You get to spend a lot of time together and eat out, as a team and stuff like that. So also have to kind of play through some of the aches and pains of trips like that. You don't get to sleep in your own bed. You have to sleep in, a hotel bed, which some of them can be pretty uncomfortable. So it'll be interesting, and I'm actually really excited for it. So
yeah, I am as well. I always enjoy the long ones. It's
Yeah.
always fun, nice to get away, but at the same time, I feel like it's you mentioned the meals and just the funny thing, the photo of you and I with the giant cowboy hat on we got from the last road trip, little things like that, right? They go a long way in terms of bringing the group together.
Yeah, even we played the prank on Keenan and said it was his birthday.
Yeah,
that stuff, that goes a long way. That stuff I think matters to a team, and kind of bonding moments, and you have to jam yourself into little restaurants and sit with all sorts of different people, and then they put you in a room with kind of almost an anonymous guy, and you got to talk to him forever. And I'm sure our roommates won't change on the road trip, so I'll have 8 days with probably Oliver Turner, which will be great.
Oh,
so it'll be fun. I think we play a couple good teams and stuff too. So
yeah,
I guess you don't know until you know. We'll
long way up to the Sioux.
Yeah,
long way up to the Sioux.
Yeah,
have you ever been up there?
I've been to Marquette, Michigan, which is
that's Upper Peninsula.
I think
right?
it's right across the bridge. So that's the closest I've been to Sioux. I think Bernie's pretty excited. He gets to
go home.
Go home, yeah.
It's a cool little town. The 2 off days are going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah.
There's not a ton going on up there. I like the rink though. It's a good rink. They honor their
Sioux is a good
history.
rink. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I played video games on it too before. So.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah. Back in NHL 19, you're playing.
Oh yeah.
You're be a pro with your OHL teams.
Were you the Sioux Greyhounds back then?
I think. Honestly, I hate to say this. I think I always played for the London Knights or the.
Oh,
Kitchener
that
Rangers.
you don't want to say that near.
No, you don't at all. But I think that's who 19-year-old Ritter always played for back when I was 10. So that's not great anymore. I would never do that again. I would always play for the Otters.
There we go. You heard it here.
Yeah.
Heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
Always would play for the Otters. Another viral moment, I guess, for you this season. Got to ask you about your headshot What? Tell me the story of the Brandon Tanev-esque photo.
Yeah, no, I forget who was behind the camera. Maybe Garrett Frazier or Dylan Edwards. And of course it's me, so everybody thinks I'm gonna do it. So one of them said you should do the Brandon Tanev. So I took the picture. Then I took my jersey off and walked away. And then the next day we went to Peak and Peak as a team and did all the fun stuff. And Dave Brown had texted me and said, "Is your headshot good?" And we never took an actual headshot. And I was kind of left to say yeah. So that's just kind of what I'm stuck with. Actually, it's pretty funny. My dad doesn't really support the making yourself look stupid, you know? So he was the first one that sent me a screenshot of it and said, "Are you serious?" And I had to say, yeah, I was being fully serious. So,
First year in the OHL.
Yeah, I'm stuck with it. I think my mom was worried about when I have kids and stuff, you know, and they look, "Oh, you play in the OHL," and that's the picture that comes up. She was a little petrified of. So, yeah, I did it. I'm stuck with it for the rest of my life.
Good decision, bad decision? Or is that a question that'll be answered in 10 years, 20 years
I think in
down
10
the line?
years. I think right now, still kind of mediocre decision. I think sometimes you can look at it and be like, "That's pretty funny." Other times you look at it and you're just like, "I'm an idiot." But I think in 10 years is when it'll probably be a bad decision. You know, I'll hopefully maybe have kids or something, or, you know, a wife, and that'll come up and they'll see how I acted when I was 18, 19, which I'm not sure anybody in 10 years is going to want to know how I acted back in the day. So,
well, I mean, maybe they will.
Maybe,
good stories.
Hopefully, yeah, there will be great stories, I'm sure. None that my teammates can probably tell anybody, so we might need to change that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
But for you, obviously, let's step away from the rink a little bit. Talk about, you know, moving here to Erie, not too far away, but what have you liked about the city, and what do you like to get into away from the rink?
Yeah, we have a really good group of kids, like a really good group. I live with Cal Hughes, Alex Mishiak, and Tyler Challenger, so there's always something going on at home that usually includes dying laughing. I'm not sure Steve, our billet dad, is super fond of it. I think he kind of watches from afar, and I'm not sure what goes through his head. But me and Cal are together a lot.
Two college guys.
Yeah, pretty close together, too.
Yeah.
We hang out with Garrett Frazier a lot, who's also a college guy.
Yeah.
We'll kind of all be within, 40 minutes of each other there next year or the year following. And then Dylan Edwards is kind of in the mix a little bit. Not sure he'll go to college, but we, Wesley Royston, Frasca, we do a lot together. Sundays, we've gone to the beach a couple times and played, volleyball as a team, or gone swimming as a team, or played football as a team. We watch a lot of stuff, so we watched football, and then the baseball playoffs came on. We started watching baseball. I think all these Toronto kids just became Blue Jays fans.
I kind of get that vibe on the bus, but this is coming. I am the world's biggest Pittsburgh Pirates fan.
Okay.
So, like, I travel all summer long. I'm traveling the country going to Pirates games, like watching 140-plus games on TV.
Yeah.
So, like, seeing everybody, I'm like, come on, man.
Like I don't think – I never heard anything about the Blue Jays until a week ago. And everybody's kind of in on it, which is – crazy to me because nobody talked about it when we first got here. So I think they just all found out what baseball is, and
which it's good for the game.
Yeah, this is the closest I think any Toronto sports team will ever be to winning a championship. So I agree. That's big for them, I guess you could say.
Who's your team?
Phillies.
Phillies, okay.
Phillies fan, yeah. Buffalo Bills fan. I'm kind of all over.
All over.
And then hockey. I grew up in Iowa to start, so I loved the Blackhawks.
I would say it'd be Blackhawks.
I guess
right?
You could call it a little bit of a bandwagon because they were winning so much, and I loved Kane and Taze and Seabrook and Duncan Keith and Corey Crawford. I loved all those guys. So Blackhawks, Phillies, and Bills, which is kind of all over the map. But
you ever been to the Phillies ballpark?
I have.
It's a nice one.
A lot.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it's great. Me and my dad, actually, crazy story, were in Philly. I think for a hockey tournament when I would have been grade 8 or 9, and we went to the Cubs Phillies game
Okay.
where Bryce Harper hit the walk-off
Oh,
home
off
run.
of Derek Holland. Yeah.
And it was like 6-0 Chicago.
Yeah.
And me and my dad left at the bottom of the 6th inning.
Oh, man.
And we got back to where we were staying, really good family friend's house, and we turned it on the TV, and it was right when Harper was hitting the walk-off. So I'll scroll through TikTok every night, and the video
It'll
tends
pop
to
up.
pop up, once or twice a week, and I have to live with that for the rest of my life. So
That's tough.
I'll blame that one on my dad. He wanted
Yeah,
to.
you never leave early, man.
No.
Never, ever leave
Not
early.
a baseball
That's
game.
like,
Not a
there's
baseball
no
game.
clock in baseball.
No, there's not. So that sucked. But yeah, Phillies let us down this year. I know
Yeah.
they've kind of been the face of baseball here for the last couple of years with the Dodgers, and
Yeah, certainly.
the Yankees are always going to be the face of baseball. But those 3 teams up there, so Phillies, yeah. But we were watching football, and then we started watching baseball, and now hockey's on, and we got fantasy hockey going. So we're watching these hockey games and the players that we have, and sitting on the couch making trades if a guy's playing bad and stuff. So we're together a lot. Ambrosio's around all the time. Lucas, he's awesome. But yeah, we hang out all the time. We have really really good group of kids. So that would, I haven't done much around here by myself.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Then we eat out every day, which I'm not sure any of our parents are pleased about that, but sometimes you go to Chipotle and then we're sitting there for 3 hours, and it's like, well, we've been here since 3 o'clock and it's 6, so we should maybe hit the road. But we're always together. There's always some type of topic that's laughable. Usually, I think it starts with me. I'm not quite sure if they're laughing with me or at me yet. I'm still trying to figure that out. But
It'll come in time.
yeah, we have a good group, so there's always something to do. We did the peak and peak thing, which was great. Went putt-putting. Then there's the beach. I'm not sure what we'll do when it gets cold. I'm not sure. I don't like the cold, so
I don't either.
I don't know if I'll be outside
Which is
much.
wild, though, for somebody who's been in New York,
Yeah.
Iowa.
Yeah, like I loved pond hockey. That was really the only time I would be outside in the cold or deal with the cold. But your fingers get cold and then somebody slashes you and then you're all angry, so you get off the ice. But it was we have a good group. I don't know, maybe go hunting or ice fishing or something. Maybe something like that. But we have it's a fun group. We're always doing something. If you're bored, somebody else is definitely bored too. So it's easy to get together, and then everybody lives pretty close too. Frasca and Royston do live pretty far, which is a bummer sometimes because they don't want to drive. So they seem like they're getting left out, but they're always invited. And then the school kids, they do their schooling, so they're not necessarily around much. But everybody's always invited, so we have fun. Good group, fun. It'll be, we're still early on, so we have a long 8 months ahead of us, and hopefully we can keep, kicking it off. So
yeah, I think that's one thing that almost gets lost a little bit. It's a long season.
Yeah.
It's a grind.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say I got lucky last year, but I only played 40 games last year because I broke my foot and my thumb, so I didn't play every game, so my season wasn't as long. So I'm kind of, hopefully, I guess it's still early on, new to this whole, really, really long season. In prep school, you only play for 6 months, but you're playing 5 games a weekend, so it's not as long of a year. It's also not as physically taxing on your body. So, we're 9 games in. It feels like I've played 40 already. So we'll just kind of
see
keep
how that
going.
shakes out.
Yeah.
Couple months. Is it, and for you, obviously, you've got your first 3-3 coming up over the weekend, and long road trip. Talk to me about, again, the grind that goes into a 68-game schedule, and what you're looking forward to, and maybe what you're not so much looking forward to with that.
I think looking forward to is just spending time with these like you become best friends with these kids. And, I guess in some way a family. I think that's what you most look forward to is just kind of making more memories and, being together. And the thing that's sad about hockey is the same team's never going to be together 2 years in a row. Even in the NHL, everybody's off and going different places, and so that's the best thing is just making these memories that in 20 years somebody will text me and we can look back on it and laugh. That's the best thing, and then I think the long year and kind of the mental and physical strain is you kind of I guess have to enjoy it. Like that's really the only thing you can do. You can't complain or do any of that because everybody kind of feels the same way. I think the funny thing that's come up quite a bit recently with all of us is somebody wakes up with a new injury every day. So I might, feel completely fine going to bed and then I wake up and my elbow hurts. So that, you have to kind of accept it and enjoy it and just keep pushing through it and play. And the one thing my dad always said to me was at some point the pain will go away. So that's kind of how I look at pain. If something hurts is at some point in my life it won't hurt anymore. So just accepting it, enjoying it, and everything is a lot easier when your buddies are around. So it all works itself out, and everybody deals with different things that sometimes it sucks, you can't play, and then other times you can play through it and you just kind of have to deal with it. So
you're here and now in Erie, but obviously looking ahead, Providence is what beckons for you. Talk to me about the excitement of going to a school that has such a great, rich hockey history. And the excitement there.
Yeah, I think that I made that decision when I was 15 years old. I talked to a couple schools, not a ton. I did my visits, but I loved Providence. I knew a couple kids that have gone there and played there that have played for my dad or through mutual friends and stuff. So I knew right away. Like I went to a couple schools, and then I went to Providence, and then I went to a couple more. And I think on my first couple visits, I was so excited to go to Providence that I didn't really soak it all in. And then on my last couple visits, I was I just loved Providence. Like it was almost like as soon as I stepped foot off the airplane in Providence, Rhode Island, I knew that's where I was going to go. You can't argue the success that they have.
Yeah.
With NHL players, national championships, just how it's they win. They have one of the best coaches in college hockey. He's won the award many times. The kids that go there, even if they don't play hockey after, loved it. Kids that go there that have become coaches now, and there's a lot of stuff that went into it. I think another big thing was it's small. Providence isn't a big school.
Yeah.
It's really well known, but there's only I think it tops out at 5,000 students.
Yeah, it's not big at all.
And I grew up in Dubuque, Iowa, small town. Jamestown, New York, small town. I lived a little bit in Philadelphia, which was huge, and I hated Philadelphia. I didn't want to live there. I was super excited when we were moving, but it was a small school. Again, you talk to all these people. Everybody knows everybody. It was perfect, I guess, for me. And then the way they play too. They're super defensive, super physical. They're bigger, and they win a lot. They've been ranked, I think, in the top 10 for since I've been committed there at least. Every time I look, it seems like they're up there. And then, it's a great little rink, good crowd, and it's in a really good spot. The school is small, but, you're 30, 35, 45 minutes from Boston.
Yeah.
It's perfect. I loved it. And Providence and Northwood have a pretty big connection. There's a lot of Northwood grads that go to Providence. So it was perfect for me. Nobody pushed me one way or another. I made my own decision. And at the time, I didn't have agents. So the phone calls were directly to me. It was me and then my coaches at Northwood at the time. So the decision was all mine, which was perfect. I didn't, get persuaded or lost in the process. I knew right away. So I'm really excited, whether it be next year or the year following. I've been looking forward to Providence for, quite a long time now. So I'm really excited to go and get started there.
How are you, I don't want to say change your game, but, how is your game going to adapt to the college style? Having to wear a cage and everything that kind of goes into that?
I think honestly, for me, it's good. I think I can talk more.
Yeah, it's
You
true.
you don't have
Yeah.
to fight. You don't have to answer the bell. It's the same, other than you can't fight. So I think one, I need to get stronger. Physically, it's a heavy game. You're playing against 25, 26-year-old guys.
Yeah.
Some of them have families. So you're playing against real like men. Like there's men in this league, but those are
Yeah.
men. Like those are guys that are trying to figure out what to do with their life instead of they're not so worried about hockey, but what's coming next. So that's the biggest thing I think is getting stronger physically, and then with adapting, I think it's going to be perfect for me. I think I'm going to be hopefully the most annoying player in college hockey. I think that'll be great because I'll have a cage on and won't have to answer the bell anymore. Nobody can ask you to fight, which that's what I'm really looking forward to. I look back at prep school, and that was the best part of prep school.
That was the type of player you were, right?
Just really annoying. Nobody can. What's anybody going to do to you with a cage?
Yeah.
You can punch me in the cage. It doesn't.
Then you're
hurt.
going to take a penalty.
Yeah, like it doesn't. So I think that's a big thing, and then the shortened schedule, which I'm not sure I'm looking forward to that too much. I think the 35 games is a little odd, but you adapt to it, and I'm sure it'll be fun. And then again, I kind of went through it at Northwood, just living with your buddies and having class with teammates and stuff like that, and eating all 3 meals with your teammates. I think is what you look forward to, and kind of the memories that come from
just
it.
the college experience, right?
Yeah.
And getting to have that while doing one of the best things you do, playing sport, playing hockey with your boys.
Yeah, like that's really exciting. I think the travel at Providence is also great. You're in the Hockey East, so you're going to Maine, which is, I don't know, 4 hours I think would be the most. And then if you do go anything over that, you're flying.
Yeah.
But you're playing Boston College, Boston University, Northeastern. So I'm going to be playing against Cal and Garrett, and you get to run into guys that you've played with before. And then I have I think 4 teammates from last year that play at BC, a couple teammates that play at Quinnipiac, and it'll be really interesting to see where some of the kids from our team, Dylan Edwards and Frasca, decide to play college hockey, or Mishiak decides to play college hockey. It'll be interesting to see where they end up, and Hockey East is a hot spot, so I'm sure I'll be seeing a lot of familiar faces, and it'll be pretty fun.
And getting to do it in one of the most beautiful parts of the country as well.
Yeah,
just
Rhode Island,
like
sushi galore. I love sushi, so that'll be great. And then again, Providence, I think Providence, Rhode Island has like 6 colleges in it. I think Bryant's right there.
Yeah.
Brown, University of Rhode Island's right down the street. Johnson and Wales, which is a culinary school, I think. So there's a ton going on. I'm not sure how much you run into kids from the other schools, but just meeting,
probably more than you'd think.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you go get breakfast, there's probably a bunch of kids from. So just meeting new people, and I've met so many people and so many great people along the way that I think just doing that, you get to explore the world without using your own money. I think
not a bad way to live.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like I got to see, I got to go back to Dubuque, Iowa, and live that out. I got to, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. If you ever told me I was going to live in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, I probably would have punched you in the face. But it was, a really cool place. I loved it. Lake Placid, New York, which is just absolutely beautiful. I got to live there for 2 years, and now we're in Erie, Pennsylvania. So all these places that I, couldn't have told you a year ago that I was going to live here.
Yeah.
So it's really fun, and I think going to explore that part, and then you get to go up into Maine, and whether you travel to any of these other places to play these teams, you get to see these crazy cool parts of the world, which is pretty special. And I don't think many people understand how cool it actually is.
Yeah, it's pretty sick, man. And as we kind of wrap things up here, talk to me about some goals for yourself personally as you grow throughout this OHL year and for this team kind of going forward.
Yeah, I think, for me, it's just to help our team do what we can to win every night. Consistency is a big thing. Just, showing up to the rink and working as hard as you possibly can. If you only have 75% in your body, you give all 75% type of thing. Being a good teammate, I think, is the biggest thing. That's what I was, my dad never really taught me anything about hockey. Kind of left it up to, who I was playing for and some other people, and obviously some good life lessons and stuff. But he always taught me to just be the best teammate I could possibly be. So just keep doing that, and obviously, hopefully, at some point here, start producing. I think that's a big thing. Is you want to produce, you want to be a part of that kind of group that scores, and with helping the team win, I'm gonna have to score or make a big play here at some point. I would hope. So that is the biggest thing, and then with our team is just start winning. We have a really good group of kids, and you want to win hockey games, and those are the best memories. Is when we're 50 years old, looking back at a Friday night in London overtime win or something, you get to talk about that, and remember when Gabe Frasca scored this goal, like just stuff like that. I think is what you want to create, and again, just the memory thing comes back, and being able to tell your kids and your family cool stories about stuff. So that's what I'm I want to do, and of course everybody wants to win. So winning is the biggest thing, and it doesn't matter how you do it, just do it.
Absolutely. Well, man, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for taking some time and joining us on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, that'll do it for another edition of On the Record. Reminder that you can find us anywhere you get your podcast. Just search OTT The Record. And, of course, we're live every Thursday on the Gem City Sports Podcast Network, presented by Rebbich Investments. Big thanks once more to Ritter Coombs. My name is Trevor Cabea. We'll see you again on another edition of On the Record.